Hi. The title is a bit tongue-in-cheek, but this is a tale of a young goth from Long Island trying desperately to fit in with the older, old-school diehards from Manhattan. This is something that I'm seeing in a lot of you, and as someone who's been there, done that, and got the t-shirt, I thought that I would try to dispel some of the misconceptions and share some stories from when I was right where you are and show you how I handled it. Bear in mind that some of the behaviors that myself and my peers had exhibited really only lasted no more than a year, and that was until we really became used to our surroundings. And this is solely pertaining to gothic clubs. As a new goth, ranging from the ages of 14 to 16, venturing into the city, my friends and I had habits, sort of these unspoken codes of conduct, and they were behaviors that we would exhibit so as not to stand out, and we didn't want to be unseen either. We just wanted to sort of melt very neatly into the background and best of all be accepted. And worst possible case scenario, we did not in any way want to be labeled a kiss of death, and that was a poser. So I don't know if some of these behaviors might actually resonate with you because it's something that you may or may not have done or thought about, or you might think that we're absolutely crazy. But being from New York, we were New Yorkers, lived just outside of the city, but we were suburbanites. And being from suburbia, that carried a little bit of a stigma where we felt as if we didn't fit in with the city goths. And it was so important that when we went into the city, be it for a club, a show, shopping, anything, sometimes we just went into the city to walk around. And when we did so, we made sure to never ever look up, because when you are in Manhattan, you're in New York City, it could be very mesmerizing because you're surrounded by these skyscrapers and they're massive and they could really catch your attention, and it is very easy to sort of look up. But when you look up, it's something very indicative of a tourist. So that's something a tourist would do. They would stand and they would be like, wow, look, and just look up around them. And when one of my friends would look up, somebody would kind of jab him in the ribs with an elbow and be like, you look like a fucking tourist, stop it. And that was something that we made sure to never do, so that we would blend in and people would think that we were from Manhattan and, not Long Island. We would never look up. I did a video on the varying dances that you would see in a goth club, and one of those dances is called the performer. Now, one of the main focuses of the performer is that the person who is doing this dance will actually lip sync the words to the song from start to finish. Now, unfortunately, this is a dance that has stuck with me to this very day, but not for the same reasons. I was a performer 100%, and the reason that I was a performer was because I felt as if I were going to dance to a song, I needed to know the words. Because if I didn't know the words and I wasn't lip syncing along, then people around me would think that I didn't know the song and therefore label me a poser. So I would look at the CD jacket, listen to the songs that I liked over and over and over again, just so that I could learn the lyrics. Now, if the CD jacket didn't have lyrics that came with it, this was the annoying part, but it was something that I did, and I did it very meticulously. I would actually listen to the song incessantly, and I would write the lyrics down. If it was in German, well, then I would just have to sound it out because I didn't actually speak German. But it was weird because my friends had done the same thing. And again, this is something that we never actually discussed. It was just something that came about. And the girls were more meticulous about knowing the words to the song than the boys were. And the way the boys were, if they didn't know the words, they would wing it, and really badly. The thing about this bizarre habit was that it was born completely out of insecurity. Now, did it really matter if we knew all the words to the song? No. But it was important to my friends and I in our quest to fit in, and we wanted it to be known that there was no mistaking that we knew the music and we knew it well. Despite being these young suburban kids from Long Island, we were worthy enough to be there. Now, as far as our look, image was important, but not nearly as important as knowing the music, as this was the thing that was bringing us all together. One thing that we really got right was that our perception of the fashion was pretty on point, and it was completely observation-based. Fortunately, there really wasn't any big emphasis on that. Now, that didn't mean that we didn't dream of owning these big-name brands from stores like Religious Sex and Trash and Vaudeville, and they have the most amazing, gorgeous stuff. These are things that your basic part-time minimum wage paycheck wouldn't even grant you half of a top. So unless, of course, you were a rich kid and your parents spoiled you rotten, but on the teenage paycheck, You can really get away with wearing anything black, but your main staples were your accessories. Good shoes, good boots, necklaces, anything silver and chunky, ankh, rosary beads, dog collar, studded belt, slave belt, rings, basically anything that will dress up whatever it is that you're wearing. And of course, making an effort from the neck up. Thrift store finds and DIY are actually the things that got me compliments in the clubs because you were really making things your own. You were putting your own spin on it, or they were one of a kind. And that's what it's really all about. It was about individuality and creativity. And it was through rediscovering old items or just being creative that I was able to sort of hone and nurture a talent that I didn't even know that I had. It was just a lot of fun, and even if you weren't particularly good at it, it still looked cool. When in the club, I didn't smile, I didn't sneeze, and I only used the bathroom for touch-ups. God. My friends and I, we didn't do anything but breathe, talk, or dance. We wanted to look as pristine and vampiric as possible. And vampires, they don't sneeze. So there I would stand with my friends, just still as a statue, waiting for a song that we knew to come on to dance to. And in hindsight, we probably looked bored and boring as hell. I don't know about the guys, but as for us girls, we definitely had our crushes on a few of the seasoned goth veterans. Unrequited, I might add. Did they dare date a young bridge and tunnel goth? Psh. Well, actually, it depends. Now, a bridge and tunnel to a city dweller means basically somebody who needs to take a bridge or go through a tunnel in order to get from where they are to Manhattan. Now, this is where there's a little bit of gray area because Brooklyn and Queens, I know for sure, definitely didn't matter, even though they needed to take a bridge or a tunnel to get into the city because they were still considered part of the boroughs. As for Staten Island, I have no idea because they needed to take a ferry. So, who knows? And they were also still part of the boroughs. But bridge and tunnel, if you ever hear it, that's what it actually means. My very first time seeing an actual in the flesh goth guy, not in propaganda magazine, but stood right in front of me, they had me enchanted. With this air of darkness, they were dressed in their darkest finery, everyone knew them, they knew everyone, and they were old enough to drink. And I was about 6 years away from that, even though I was in a club that was 18 and over. Thank you, fake IDs. Side note, my fake ID said I was 19 even though it was 18 to get in and 21 to drink, because the reason I said I was 19 is because 18 is true to get in. However, you want to fly as much under the radar as possible, so you make yourself just old enough to get in, but not old enough to drink. And 18 is a little bit of a dead giveaway that it might be a fake, so you choose 19. But I didn't tell you that. I thought that the lack of attention that they paid to me was either because of my age or because they thought I was this big cheesy poser, or some combination of the two. See, here we go back again to those insecurities. It didn't occur to me that their disinterest in speaking to me, maybe having to do with my age, had anything to do with, say, their moral compass or my maturity. It had to do with the fact that I felt that age sort of equated to your cool factor, and I was, in fact, too young to be cool. But in hindsight, I was young, and what could a 16-year-old possibly contribute to a conversation, even a relationship, let's say, other than anything physical? So in that regard, I'm actually very fortunate that I was sort of disregarded by the older crowd because I would have been taken advantage of. The point of all this is to tell you that my perception of things as they were, my habits and these strange codes of conduct were 100% self-imposed. Nobody told me I had to know the words of the song that I was dancing to. I had imposed those rules upon myself because in my mind I felt that I needed to do that to prove myself. All of these goofy habits were completely improvised as I went along, and I had done so almost out of OCD repetition because I was convinced that had I not done so, I would not have been accepted into the subculture. And like I said in the beginning of the video, it took me almost a year to realize how very wrong that I was, and in hindsight, I felt like such an idiot. But the reason that I'm telling you all of this because I know how important acceptance is to you, and I would absolutely hate for you to forego an event and an experience out of fear of the very same thing. So don't worry about all that stuff. I mean, it's, like I said, it was my own insecurities. The only thing you have to worry about, just be yourself, and don't be an asshole. Easy. Bye.